Hi, Deirdre here again, just going to show you how to do the chocolate brownies sheet. Okay, so the first thing it asks us to take a look at is print area. So let's take a look at how it's printing at the moment. So if I click on File, and Print, you can see nothing is coming up here. Obviously it must be set to print a single cell, so that isn't right. So let's go back out of here. Okay, so it asks us to select B1 to D26, which is here. Okay, and to set that as the print area. So go to the page layout tab, print area, set print area. And now if I click on File and Print, you can see it's printing there. It's a little tiny thing in the middle of the page, so we have to fix something else as well. So let's go back and see what's gone wrong. Okay, first thing it asks us to do is to change the orientation to portrait. So orientation, and we're going to go to portrait. Okay, which means upright, and it also asks me then to change the scale and adjust the scaling to 110%. So I suspect that there's something wrong there. Now you can go into the page, the scale option in here on the page layout tab, so we can click in here and we get all of our options. So we can go into page setup, and at the moment on the page tab here, it's adjusting it to 25% of normal. So I'm going to change that to 110% and go OK. And I'll go in and take a look at that in print preview. And you can see it's now upright and it's centered on the page and it's set to 110%. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so the next thing it wants us to do is to actually complete the sheet. Okay, so it wants us to make this information over here to look like this over here. Okay, so and it's giving us some information here to give us a hand, and I'll talk you through that. First of all, they want chocolate brownies to be centered across the top, so we click and drag from B1 to D1, and then on the Home tab we click Merge and Center, and it's now centered on the page, and we can increase the size of the font by tapping up there, and we can change the font to something else like Algerian, for example. Okay, so that's looking good. And then cost is also centered, so we'll select that there, merge and center, and we increase it in size. Okay, now we then have to calculate the cost per gram. Well, I know that there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram, so if we divide kilograms by 1,000, then that should give us our answer. So we're going to start off with the equals. So I've selected cell D4 and start off with the equals, and I'm saying equals C4, which has got the 1.2 in it, divided by 1,000. Okay, that's good. And when we press enter or correct, it calculates it out, and you can see that's correct here. So again, remember 1 gram of sugar is like 1/10 of a teaspoon of sugar. It's a tiny amount. Okay, so we're calculating the cost per gram here. So you just do 1 and you drag it down. Okay, so now we've got all of our costs. Here's our costs up here. Here's our recipe down underneath. We have the costs for 1 gram of sugar, and we're going to need 150 of them. So in here, we're going to calculate that out, and we'll say equals the 150 grams that we need in the recipe multiplied by, which is our star, and then we select cell D3 up the top. So it's B13 multiplied by, sorry, I said B3, it's D4. Okay, so B13 multiplied by D4, and then press correct up here. That's grand. So it's going to cost us 18 cents for the sugar, and then we drag it the whole way down. So that's grand. We've got all of our amounts there. And you can see our decimal points are sort of varying for each of them, which is a bit not easy to view. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to format it, and I'm going to click on the comma style, and that brings them all to 2 decimal places, which kind of tidies them up. And then I'm going to add them all up here. So select the cell you want the answer in, and click on the auto sum, and then click on correct. So the whole batch is going to cost us 1.69 for the batch. Okay, now we need to center this across, so we'll go merge and center, and then we'll increase the size of it. Okay, so that's grand, and we can format it. Let's put on some borders. So I'm selecting the area up here, and I'm going to do all borders, and then I'm going to do thick outside border. I'll do the same here. I'm going to select this area here. I'll do all borders and thick outside border. Okay, that's grand. Now, cost brownies made per recipe. So this recipe here makes 10 brownies, so that's grand. And so we're now looking at the cost per brownie. So the whole batch is costing us 169, and that makes us 10. So we'll start off with an equals. Money always comes first, so it's the 169 divided by the 10 gives us the cost for an individual brownie. So each individual brownie is costing us 117. So we're selling them out at 120, so that's grand. So the profit then per brownie will be the 120 minus the 17. So equals C23 minus C22. Okay, so we're making 103 cents for every brownie that we sell. And in this case, we sold 6 of them. So it's going to be the 103 multiplied by the 6. So the 6 multiplied by the 103. Okay, and so we're making 619. Now, these decimal points are sort of in and out all over the place. So I'm going to put them to 2 decimal points. And we're going to do it that way. And then we'll select here, do all borders, thick outside border. And then we can put on a bit of shading. So we can put it on here. And we might also want it here. So I'm going to hold down Control on my keyboard and select there. And I'm going to select along here. And I'm going to select over here. And I'm going to select keeping Control held down. And then I'm going to choose some colouring to give it a bit of colour. Next thing we want to make sure we do is we line up our headings with the numbers. So we select our headings over here and right align. That's left aligned, that should be right aligned. So that's grand. Again, that should be right aligned. Okay, and the rest is looking good. Okay, that's the end of this video.